So that's when he left, that's when I experienced those the sexual molestation, the abuse and everything else. And I told him that your father's spirit is no longer here. He's with the Lord.
Phenomenal Motherhood, where we discover, discuss, debunk, and celebrate motherhood.
Meeting the love of your life, planning your lives together, and actually executing that, it's absolutely beautiful. However, nobody ever prepares you to become a widow. On today's episode of Phenomenal Motherhood, I am joined by the gorgeous Doricah Mokoka. She is an author, she is a businesswoman, she is a motivational speaker, and a pastor. Welcome to Phenomenal Motherhood, Pastor Doricah.
Thank you so much.
It is a great honor to have you today.
Thank you.
When I just mentioned the fact that you're an author, the first thing that came to my mind is the cookie jar.
Yes.
This book is really, really amazing, and it has opened, certain things that I wasn't aware of,
Yeah.
And it's just truly amazing. I just want to know what inspired you to write this book.
When I was little, I was around 6 or 8 years old. I was sexually molested. So it's something that dawned with me been with me until this time, that I was just thinking, why would people do things that they do, more especially to children? Right now, when we look around us, there are a lot of children that are being kidnapped, not to be for anything else, but for sale, for sex, you see. So yes, I grew up thinking sex is something that is bad, something that is not good. So when I entered into marriage, I realized that sex is actually good. It's something that is pleasant.
Absolutely.
It's something that God has designed for people that are married. So
absolutely.
So I was inspired to put this down, to help other people there that are struggling with whatever that they have gone through in life regarding sex, regarding love, and regarding intimacy.
Wow.
Because you can have sex, but you cannot make love without love.
Absolutely,
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
That's very important. And what I love most about this book, like you said, sex is something that's very beautiful that God created for married couples to enjoy, and to cherish. And another perception about this book that I like is the fact that even growing up, sex was like a taboo.
Yeah.
You can't talk about it with your parents.
Yeah.
You can't even mention, even private parts, even the private part, you can't even mention the word a penis or a vagina. You can't, because it was like a huge taboo, and we were so scared to say that word in front of our parents. We used to say it maybe with our friends, and I feel like that's very dangerous, because we're learning sex and vagina, penis from the streets. We're not learning it from the elders. For example, I've got people that I know people that I know that have been molested from a young age, but they couldn't come up to tell their parents because it was such a huge taboo to talk about sex, to talk about your vagina. It was such a secret thing.
Yes.
And I'm also applying it from your book. I'm also applying it to my children. I've got 2 boys, and I'm just teaching. When I teach them the body parts, head, shoulders, knees, and toes, I always teach him that this is your penis,
which is very good.
It's your body. Yes. Nobody's supposed to touch it. It belongs to you. So it's absolutely admirable, and I'm just so interested to know Doricah Mokoka. Who is Doricah Mokoka? Take us through, your background, your upbringing in Botswana.
Okay, Doricah is the daughter. Yes, I'm number 6 of the 8. I'm coming from a very big family.
What?
Yes. I grew up in a place called Botshabelo in Siliba Pikwe.
Okay.
It's more like Soweto.
Okay.
If I may put it like that.
Like a township.
Yes.
Okay.
A township like a Zola,
There's actually Botshabelo in South Africa in Free State.
Oh, all right.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm the 6th of the 8.
Wow.
But I've lost 2 brothers. As yet we are 6 in our family.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, I was married young. I was married at 19 because growing in Zola is not as easy. So 19, I told myself I'm picking and I'm leaving.
Wow.
Yeah, so I left. I got married then. I've got 3 beautiful daughters.
Wow.
The first one is 24, the other one is 18, and the other one is 12.
Amazing,
Yes,
amazing.
yeah.
And did you grow up with both your parents?
No, my father left. My father left when I was 6 years old. I think that's where my world just started to like spin around. I was daddy's girl. I was daddy's girl. So when he left, I was confused, and I didn't know how to compete with this other woman that my father has found beautiful than me. I've written that in my Facebook that I did not know how to compete in a woman with a lipstick and stiletto. I was only 6 years old. How did that woman warm my father's heart so much that he will desert me and go? So that's when he left. That's when I experienced those the sexual molestation, the abuse and everything else that was happening. And I couldn't tell my mother because the perpetrator was saying, if you do that, you are going to be beaten. And if somebody had told me, taught me about sex in that early ages, I would know, no, this is wrong. But he was saying I would be wrong if I do tell, Yeah, so I grew up like that. My father had long gone, decided me. So I went into marriage and I'm like, I'll never divorce because I've seen how divorce has done to my life, and I'll not put my kids under whatever that I have gone through. So I was so much protective of my children in any way.
Wow.
You see.
Wow.
Yeah. So and in that, when you put too much strain, kids tend to be closed.
Yeah, they don't come out of their shell.
Yes, they don't come out of their shell. And I think that's the mistake that I've done, more especially with my first daughter, because she was the first one. So my eye were on her. So she didn't go for sleepovers. She wouldn't visit her friends. I was like, people can molest you during the day because that man was doing whether during the day or whatnot. So I was so much protective of her. Even today, I'm so much protective of my daughter, but I've learned that the God of the day is still the God in the night.
Absolutely.
So he will look better after them than me. I'm not in every place like God.
You're not watching them 24/7. They're at school, they're at work.
Yeah.
Sure.
And God is everywhere. So I'm cutting my umbilical cord.
It's not easy.
Yeah, slowly by slowly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned that you got married at a young age, at the age of 19, right?
Yeah.
I want you to tell us how you met your husband.
Yeah, I was a churchgoer. I wasn't a Christian.
Okay.
Because there's difference.
A big difference.
Yeah. I was a churchgoer, then I would go clubbing Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday I'll go to church, sleep halfway the sermon, just to, that my parents cannot say, why are you not going to church?
Yes.
So I was living like that. I met my husband at a club, and I saw him. He saw me, and then, but I wasn't interested. But of course, he was interested. Men when are interested. So we did not make any contact then. So I just disappeared in the crowd. And then the following days, my auntie sent me to the shops. I was walking down the road, and I could sense there's somebody slowly coming by the car, slowly. And I'm like, so I'm just looking with with the corner of my eye, like, what is really happening? And then he went very, very slow, but I started to pick up my pace.
Yeah.
And then I went into the shop, did what I was sent to do, when I came out, I found him standing there, and he was face to face with me. And then he called me, and then he asked my name, and I told him completely a lie.
We all do that.
Yes, I told him a different name, and then he asked me out for a date. Mm-hmm. And then we went for a date, had some drinks, and then things just started to,
wow.
work from there.
And you guys dated, right?
Yes.
And what was the age difference? You said you were very young.
It was 9.
Wow.
It was 9. I think I was looking also for a father.
Okay.
Because my father left me young, and my husband was my father. He was my lover. He was my friend. He was my soulmate.
Wow.
So
that's absolutely
I think for that I was in my venture for love. At the back of my mind, I was looking for a father, for a voice to speak over me, the voice that I missed, the voice that I missed. Yes.
The protection as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Sure. Now take us through the proposal. How did he propose?
Wow.
And also, how did he introduce you to his family, and how did they receive you?
Okay, I was received very, very well.
Wow.
But the concern was that I'm young.
I'm
young. This girl is very young. She'll be playing soon out there in the street with other kids. Yeah, but I grew up very fast. Life will teach you stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we were driving from the park. Orapa has there's a place called Orapa.
Okay.
In Botswana. Yeah, so we're driving from the park. It was late evening, like the sunset. We were driving, but I could see during the course of the day that he was not settled. Men get nervous.
Yes, they do.
This kind of thing. And we were driving, and he just said, will you mind to be my wife?
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm like,
what? Where does that come
from? Yeah, so of course I was thrilled. I was excited. Orapa is more advanced. Was then at the eye of a 19-year-old was more advanced compared to where I was coming from.
Okay.
So it had things, when you're growing in a shanty location, there are a lot of things as a young person that you miss to see.
Yes.
And Orapa had everything for me then, so I said, okay.
Let's do this.
Let's do this thing. Yeah.
And as you said that your in-laws welcomed you, however they were just worried about the age.
Yeah.
Okay, how did your family receive the news?
Oh, sure. Yeah. After my father left, I think it's after years. Yeah. After because he left at 6.
Yeah.
And after years, my mom had a man.
Okay.
I don't know, call him my stepfather. He stepped in as a father. I just call him dad.
Wow.
I call him Taiman.
Wow, that's beautiful.
He's the sweet man ever, Yeah, and I believe he took the blessings that my father would have taken them, to raise us.
Yeah.
So he was like, who is this man? Who is this man? What does he want?
With my daughter.
What does he want? I mean, he's grown up, he's working career-wise and everything, but you are just, still young. And when you are in love, when people talk, it goes finish whatever that you are saying.
I'm in love. I've made my soulmate.
Yeah. So that was that. But my mom, even if she was concerned, she wouldn't say that much. Mothers always like protect. Protect. Yeah, but
wow. And how was your wedding? And did you have like a big wedding? What was going on?
I think it was the biggest wedding ever.
Ooh.
Why? Because where we lived, there are no invitations. When you pitch up a tent, everybody comes.
My kind of weddings, okay, village weddings. I'm a village girl, so whenever we have those kind, it just reminds me of home. I love it.
Yeah, so everybody comes. They come with the children. They come with the dogs. So
you always have dogs lingering around.
Yes. It's busy. It was big. Everybody was, like throbbing to see who's inside the tent.
Yeah.
The small little
Want to see the bride.
Yeah, the bride. Yeah. So it was quite a busy day. Everybody coming to show off their talent with their old string guitars.
Wow.
The choirs were singing. It was just a colorful and eventful day. So everybody came to it. Where I came from, it is known for killings, murders and rape and all those kind of things. But that day, something positive was happening.
The sun was shining.
So
wow. Now obviously you get married to the love of your life, your soulmate, and you plan your lives together. Sure. And then you lose him. How was that for you? I mean, take us back to when he passed away and what happened and what was the cause of his death.
Sure. That comes as a shock because you are never ready for those kind of things. Even though you know that in life you get, you exercise, you try to live well, you try to eat okay, But it was just a shock. It was just a shock, something that just like it hit us hard.
I can imagine.
It hit us hard. It was most the painful 3 years.
Sure.
Of going up and down for chemotherapy. He had colon cancer.
Okay.
Yeah, he had colon cancer.
Can you just explain what colon cancer is?
It's the cancer of the stomach, if I can say, or the intestine rather. The cancer is in the intestine.
Okay.
So they need to cut off the part where it is affected by the tumor.
Okay.
Yeah, so they had to open him up the side and direct the intestine out
to the tube.
And to the back called the stoma.
Wow.
So that whatever waste it cannot go down to the rectum but go down to the tube.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a major operation.
Sure, that's a major operation.
Yes, and then he lived with that over a year or so.
Wow.
And then the cancer spread again, so they had to cut again. They needed to do the other same thing, So you can see how
what they did this side, they needed to do the other side.
So you can see how drastically our life changed. It was just something unbearable. But we what's the word? We adjusted. We adjusted. We had to accept. No, this is happening. How can we do it to best live? So And I know yourself and your husband were running a church, during your marriage.
Yes. Was that before or after the cancer?
It was during
yes.
Sure. It was during.
Sure. Yeah. So how were you navigating, running a church and then and also nursing your husband?
I think it was just by the grace of God. It was not easy, but he was still going to work.
Okay.
Yeah, he was still going to work with that operation. After healing, he'll be home for so many weeks to heal from those, and then he will still go to work, and then we have to travel to Aboroni for chemotherapy.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the other thing with Botswana. Chemotherapy are like in cities.
They're not
in towns.
Small towns.
Yeah.
Sure.
So which was so much. Training, we have to travel 400 plus kilometers to go and get the chemotherapy. Sure. And there was a stage where he was supposed to take it every day. Yeah. So a good friend of mine had to house us for 2 months.
Wow.
So that he can
God bless her.
Yeah. Wow. And that time the way people at church had to look after my kids because they had to attend school. It was just a strenuous time, but God always had some people to
help us.
Yes, they help us around us. So that was that. And then when they realized, the cancer had spread, they had to cut. He was in hospital for a week or so, and then he passed on. So that was just the toughest time, that I thought, no, you are gonna make it as much as you have made it with the other one. And in that week, he was trying to communicate something to me. He was trying to communicate, and I'm like, no, it's fine, because he was tubed, everywhere, everything. And I'm like, no, it's fine. We'll talk after this. We'll talk. And even today, I'm like, what is it that he wanted to tell me?
Sure.
The reality that you'll never get the message of what did that person wanted to say. Yeah, sure. It was quite a hectic week. I was with my first daughter. She was 19 at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, we were going to the hospital, to check on him.
Okay.
And that day when he went there at 3 p.m., the doctor said, no, you cannot see him now. We are still busy with him. And Papa, deep down in my heart, I know something is not right, and something is happening, because whether we like it or not, in every situation, I believe that you go through, God always wants us. And God always prepares us
there are
for
always
it.
signs.
Yes, there are always signs. And then it's only us who push that things away. No, I don't want to hear this right now, God. I don't want to hear. But I knew.
What kind of signs were you getting from God?
I would have visions like I am talking to you right now. I'll be like this, and I'll see myself in black, carrying the cross, going inside the church. And I'm like, no. I was just blocking everything that I was seeing. I'm blocking, and I'll pray, and I bind you in the name of Jesus. I don't want to see this. But it was coming. As it was coming, also it was coming with peace.
Sure.
Like God was telling me that rest in me. So I was just fighting it. I remember we were sitting in the lounge at the hospital, and it's like I had an experience that even today I don't know how to say it. Paul,
out of body experience.
The Apostle Paul is saying about out of body experience in one of his books. And then I was sitting there. I was out, and I had such peace that even today I'm praying for that peace. There are levels of peace.
Sure.
That peace that peace that you are at ease, like nothing is happening around you.
Wow.
The peace that surpasses all understanding, that human mind cannot comprehend.
Can only be God.
So I experienced that. And during that, I found myself, I was just worshiping God, like giving God the glory. And people who were there just joined me. And we start to worship the Lord.
Wow.
We start to worship the Lord. And before that happened, I strongly believe it was when my husband's spirit was leaving his body, because I felt like the hospital is shutting down on me.
And this was before they told you?
Yes.
Okay.
The hospital was shutting down on me, and I couldn't breathe. It was like my breath was leaving my body, and my brother had to take me out for fresh air, but still something is squeezing my breath out. And I believe that was when my husband's spirit was leaving his body. But after that, I went into this peace.
Sure.
And then the doctor came, and he told us, no, we did everything that we could do. Yeah, I was just in that peace. I think even throughout the week of the funeral, I was just in that peace.
Wow.
And I said, why am I not crying? Because
as expected,
and God does things so much beautifully, So, but I think He carried me through.
Right?
Yes, he carried me
Is it
through.
not because you've nursed your husband, you've seen him going through the first operation, you've seen him suffer throughout that operation, and having to go for the second one, you've been with him through chemotherapy. Is it also, I think maybe the peace also came from God, absolutely, right? But I think it's also that your heart is at ease, that my husband is healed forever,
Yeah.
You know that he's not going to be feeling that pain anymore. He's at peace, and you know that because he's a son of God, he's born again, he's with Christ, he has passed on to glory, basically.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I believe also that was it. But me, I believe so much in the supernatural. And that was a time that I would lay hands on people and people will get healed.
Wow.
And I'm like, God, why can't you do it for my house? God, why can't you do it for my house? And I had hope. so much that God, I know you can do it. You have raised people from the dead. You said when we believe we'll do great and mighty exploits more than what you have done. So I had that in me. I had that hope, even when the machines were doing all kinds, but I had that God who raised Lazarus who also do the same for me. But sometimes our desires are not his. Yes,
he has other plans.
Yes. Yeah.
Sure. Wow. And you've got 3 beautiful girls with your husband. At the time, your firstborn was 19, and the secondborn was
I think he was 13.
13.
Yes.
And then the lastborn was
7. Yes.
Wow. So when you met your husband, you were 19
years.
When he passed away, your daughter
was 19, and then we were 19 years, 4 months in marriage.
Wow.
So I'm like,
there's something about this 19 number, right? Wow. How did you because you lost the love of your life. You've got 3 beautiful children with him. How did you comfort your children, and how did you, especially for the little one, how did you inform the little one that daddy's not here any longer? That's another work. And I believe it's only the work of the Holy Spirit that can get inside people's hearts and do that. She was, the little one was just fine during the course of the week. She was just playing with other kids. And the day of the funeral, when she saw the coffin going down, she actually screamed, like screaming, She really screamed like, why? So I had to, God gave me wisdom then. And I told him that your father's spirit is no longer here. He's with the Lord. Wow.
He's with Jesus. And here, he's just waiting for Jesus Christ to come back. And immediately she dried her tears.
Wow.
And she was fine until today.
Wow.
So I believe that was the work of the Holy Spirit.
Wow.
Yes, so just that.
Sure, that's truly amazing.
Yes.